Allegiance and invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we bow in an attitude of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we say thank you for this beautiful day in Washington County. Lord, have mercy upon us, guide us, direct us, use us, that we might honor and please you in our service to the citizens of Washington County. We pray for our emergency services on this day. Direct them, guide them, and protect them, I pray. Watch over us. May we please you in all that we do and say. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Amen. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes of January 24th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve January 24th minutes. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, 5-0. Commissioners' reports and comments. Mr. Klein, you want to go first today?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Just want to thank our staff and all the folks involved at the State of the County presentation. A lot of good things happening in Washington County. So thanks to all those who prepared that video, and thanks for all those in attendance in the chamber for sponsoring the event. I see some of the parks people here. They're going to bring up the Mythical Woods, I hope. So congratulations on that second award. No recognition for that. I also attended our groundhog event down at the Ag Center. I got there a little late, but it was seemed like a big turnout. And prior to attending the groundhog event, I did attend our police academy graduation, where Washington County had 6 officers graduating from that program. So that concludes my report.
Okay. Mr. Wagner?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, thank you to the staff this morning. It was a job well done and pretty nice event. I also attended the police academy graduation. It was a very nice program. The video was great. It was well done. I think we had like 6 for the county. I think 4 for HPD, 2 for HCC Medical Campus, 2 couple for Boonesboro, and 1 for Frostburg. So it was a pretty nice class. The turnout on that. I also got to attend another Eagle ceremony. Rowley Whitmer. It's always a pleasure to attend the Eagle ceremonies and see these young guys. This guy had a lot going on. He was already an EMT, and everybody there was trying to recruit him. State police was trying to recruit him, everybody, because he was like, I think he's like pushing 19 years old, so they all wanted him. I'd be remiss to say that congratulations to my daughter, Penny Abe, for being named Teacher of the Year at St. Mary's. So I wanted to shout out to her on that. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Mr. Kiefer?
Okay, thank you. 2 things here. Would also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting us this morning at our State of the County, and our staff for the behind-the-scenes legwork that they did on our video. I think it's a great video. And I'd like to see, I'll ask just one last time here, if there would be a consensus among the commissioners to do an evening State of the County. We can plan out for a couple weeks. We don't have to do it, right away, maybe even when the weather breaks. But I think today's State of the County was great for our business community, but I'd like to make that opportunity also available to our citizens without having to pay an entrance fee to watch that video and to hear from us and ask us some questions. So, and I think it's just another way to increase transparency. And then secondly, I've been contacted by some folks who have mentioned to me, some retired county employees, that it's been a while since the county has implemented any kind of a COLA for retirees. And I remember a couple budget cycles ago, and I know a lot's happened since then, including a new CFO even, new HR individuals, but we were looking at the possibility of incorporating something to do with COLAs into an employee policy, because right now we don't have anything in policy that states when and how often COLAs might come about for retirees. We just do it off and on, kind of at will. So if maybe we might have time to look at that as we go into our next budget cycle, I think that would be good. And I'd like to know, for every percent increase we might give, what financial impact is that, and what does that do to our percentage funding of our pension? I think that's important to look at also. So just if we could look at that as we go through the budget cycle.
Yeah, no, and I'll just say, you're right, there's nothing in there that requires it every year, any set formula, and we have been having some discussions, and we did talk to some of our outside consultants about that, and Michelle can provide some additional information if we want to talk about that further, but we did do a 1% COLA for retirees last year. I know that's not a lot, but we did do that last year, and we are looking at something for this year as well, but I agree with you, and I think, I won't speak for Michelle, I'll let her speak for herself, but I think that it would be beneficial to us to come up with a formula so we don't have to, try to address this issue every year. It'll be something that'll be set, but there would be a cost and additional liability for that, so if you want Michelle to talk about that now, or we can put that on for a future discussion.
Yeah, be brief.
I'll be brief, and I can bring it back in for additional discussion. I can tell you that each 1% COLA for retirees does mean that it would cost the county about $1.5 million. We're typically allowed to break that over a 3-year period, so we would need to contribute to our plan an additional $500,000 for 3 years in a row for each 1%. As far as the funding status, I would need to bring that back to you for additional information.
Okay,
And
thank you, Michelle.
While I have her about the budget, our detention officers would like consideration to be paid equivalent pay as their state counterparts. Is something I think I asked you at one time. I'll send you a reminder on that. They're
Yeah,
saying
but
that's something, I don't want an answer
We look at it
now.
from a county perspective, we don't necessarily
Yeah,
look
but
at how it relates to the state.
yeah, I'm just bringing that up because that's one of the similar calls that I'm getting from retirees and those people too. Not saying do it, just get you information about it.
So we can have further discussions during the budget process, right?
Definitely.
Thank you, Michelle.
Anything else, Wayne? That's all. Okay. Mr. Harvey?
I'd like to thank Michelle Gordon because I've been working with her to understand the budget and financial implications for a number of issues, and it's incredible the professionalism and knowledge that she's already developed, and we're lucky to have her here. I met with Jill Baker last week about zoning issues, and again, I'm just like with Andrew Eshelman and others, we are blessed to have some really good leaders of these departments. I think they're very well qualified and professional. Later today, I'm going to meet with Earl Stoner, our county health department, and I'm going to be inquiring about a couple of issues to include the numbers and pace of approvals of septics and wells, and how that impacts some of our construction and homeowners out there, or people that want to be homeowners. And then tonight I'll be meeting with the Spitzberg Town Council during their regular meeting.
Okay, thank you. I would also like to say thank you to our PR staff and the video that was presented to the chamber this morning in the 13 state of the counties that I've participated in. I truly feel that this morning's video was probably the best. It was incredible, very professionally and well done. Hats off to everyone that played a part in putting that video together. I can't imagine what it took to go around and take all those shots and put all those things together. It was quite impressive. Also, hats off to Leslie Hart and her staff at the Ag Center. The groundhog event was phenomenal the other night, and well attended, and I trust that many of the agricultural folks that were there were pleased with the things that they heard, things that they sold, and bringing customers in and hopefully coming back. So also the Boy Scout Court of Honor for an Eagle Scout for Riley Whitmer was very nice Sunday afternoon. It was long, but it was well attended, and it was incredible. The young man is obviously one of the shining stars in this community, and as Commissioner Wagner has said, if that young man doesn't have a good job after Sunday afternoon, it's his own fault, because everybody was trying to tackle him and get him to sign their employment contract.
I've never seen so many proclamations personally delivered.
Yes, yes. It was wonderful. Upcoming events, one of the things I've asked that we do every week, February the 8th is grand opening of the Bristow Grill at 1 p.m. And February the 11th is the Smithsburg Voluntary Fire Company banquet, South Mountain Rod and Gun Club. So commissioners, keep those 2 dates between now and next Tuesday on your radar screen if you can. I'm sure there's other things. And anyone else have anything? I'm gonna move into staff comments. You don't want me to forget you this time.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you, I'm still sitting over here.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Sure, because I don't,
Go ahead.
no, I'm just going to echo what the Commissioner's already said.
I apologize. I was given a friendly note that I forget you, and you're one of us.
I'm not sure how to take that really, but I'll just wave to you
That'd
every
be
day.
a good thing, John.
It might be a good thing. No, I just want to echo the comments that were made about this morning. I want to thank our PR team, but all the county staff. As you were talking about, there's pictures and videos and all that information is provided from all of our county departments, and PR puts that together, so they did a great job. And I'd be remiss if you didn't know who the narrator was. That was Ashley. I told her this morning she had to come up in front this morning. She didn't want to do that, and I know she's probably there in the back. So, Ashley, great job. But great job to all the county staff for anything to do with that, and thanks to the chamber. And thanks to Business Development for the Groundhog Day event. That was a great event for the ag community. And I think someone may have mentioned already, but just want to thank the citizens of Mogginsville for coming out last Tuesday evening. The board took their meeting on the road in Mogginsville, and we had a lot of citizen participation, a lot of good questions. So thank you to the commissioners for doing that, and we're going to be doing that in other communities and other areas of the county as we move forward. So that's all I have today. Thank you.
Okay. Linda Spence? You're first up.
Good morning, everyone. Linda Spence with the Department of Business Development. I'm coming to you today in staff comments. We are working towards a lot of updates and changes for the foreign trade zone, so I am requesting your support. More specifically, John, your signature on a letter as the grantee for Washington County Board of County Commissioners for Foreign Trade Zone number 255. This letter is necessary for the inclusion within the service area of Foreign Trade Zone number 255. It will allow the Department of Business Development the ability to apply to the Foreign Trade Zone Board, which is a federal organization, for authority to serve sites located within the county based on businesses' trade-related needs. The county will be permitted to create magnet sites meant to attract multiple users to a single area, but also as a user-driven site that would bring zone designation to a single user. So a little confusing, but that will be cleared up, hopefully. The zone will be made available on a uniform basis to companies within the county in a manner consistent with the legal requirement that each foreign trade zone be operated as a utility. So a lot of moving parts. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer questions, but just need a signature and that's it.
Questions, discussion? I think we need a motion to move forward with this.
Motion to move forward with the document.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion second to approve the formation of the document and signature. All in favor by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Next up, Andrew Eshelman.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works. I wanted to take a few moments this morning to share some recent statewide recognition received for the Marty's Mythical Woods Natural Playground in Marty Snook Park. I know some of you attended the ribbon cutting that we did when that opened and have visited the playground. And of course, it was highlighted this morning in the State of the County video that we were the recipient of a County Engineers Association of Maryland Small Project of the Year Award. Also, last week, we were the recipient of the Green Sustainability Project of the Year Award by the Maryland Quality Initiative Conference, and that's an organization that supports transportation and construction excellence and initiatives in the state. But I think what's most remarkable is that unlike many other projects that receive these awards who, can pull from the top resources and talent across the country to do their projects, this project, by and large, other than Jason Stoner, who's the carver, was done entirely by county staff. So planned, designed, constructed, and I think that's really remarkable to the abilities that we have here, and I know those abilities have been recognized today already. So it goes without saying, certainly hats off to everyone involved. We have some of those contributors here today, and they included many different departments pulled together to do this project. We have Parks and Recreation, Buildings, Grounds, and Facilities, Highway Department, I believe, survey crew, from engineering, purchasing assisted, as well as Katie from did the graphic design. So I wanted to recognize their contributions and excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Do you want to have everyone stand that?
Yeah, let's get a photo of the
Yeah,
team.
let's get them. Come up and do a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go out and do a photo with everyone. It's quite a park.
I think you want it in front, Andrew.
Dave Brooks, you in the middle, you got the trophy.
You got the award, that's all.
Parks guys in the front.
Commissioners down in front?
Hey, you can get anywhere, we can go to the top and get.
Can you get them in with your?
She can get us all with that.
I'm not taking pictures. I just got them.
Hey, get the hell out of here. I don't blame them. I'll just go with them if I get away with it.
Okay, any other staff comments? Second chance.
And I'll just say, they all left already, but congratulations to all of you on that. It's a great project. I didn't want to steal your thunder before you actually came up, so that's why I didn't say it before, but they did, as Andrew said, did almost the entire project in-house. And so we have a great team. If you don't know it already, we haven't said it already, we have a great county team, and when they get an opportunity to do those kind of things, and it's nice for them to be recognized by organizations outside of county. It's a great thing, so congratulations.
I would just like to add, if anyone that's listening or watching today that has not been there, you need to go. It's a phenomenal, incredible place to take the grandkids, for me. I mean, it's just,
Or me.
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
For us old guys, yeah, it's our grandkids, so. Okay, thank you. Kurt, anything? Okay. Okay. Citizens' participation. Anyone this morning?
Yes.
Yes. Come on up, please. Would you give your name and address so we have it for the file, please?
My name's Conrad Shevchuk. I reside at 9816 Pembroke Drive, Hagerstown. We're going to start?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I did want to point out that I think there'd be a lot more people here if this wasn't a work day, which I'm sure you're familiar with the other situations. On January 21st and 22nd, early Saturday and Sunday morning, what appears to be 4 juveniles recorded on surveillance cameras roamed through the neighborhood located on Whitehall Road, Premier View Circle, and Splendor View Terrace. They ended up trespassing on at least 9 residences in the course of 2 nights. Some of the incidents involved going through unlocked cars looking for money and valuables. If that were the only intrusions, I would not be bringing this matter to your attention. What is of concern is that they broke into sheds and in one case an attached garage. Their target seems to be off-road recreational vehicles. In the locked attached garage, they broke through a window, removing a fan. They found an ATV which had been disabled, so they helped themselves to the owner's tools, removed some tires, took beverages and food from a refrigerator, spray painted "thank you" on the floor, found keys to a locked SUV, which they opened and stole a credit card. They remained for some time until they were chased out by the owner who had been awakened. I was told there were 4 911 calls received Sunday morning. Police did recover some property which they found hidden by the tree lines in what seems to be an attempt to hide until later. One ATV was not recovered, and I was told that cameras had recorded it going down Beaver Creek Road and later entering Hagerstown. The troubling aspects of these incidents are the brazen actions of these kids. 2 nights in a row, for a long time in an attached garage with no concern about the owners, taking multiple vehicles, hiding some for later, and reportedly driving down Dual Highway into Hagerstown. It's hard to imagine that some adults were not aware, if not involved. My neighbors and I are upset. There are people who are scared. Many are angry. I moved to this county to get away from this kind of thing was heard more than once. It seems the problems plaguing Hagerstown are now moving out to the county as we have become the source for the ATVs running through the city. It's been 3 weeks, and the people affected feel that their situation is being forgotten. I just wanted to make you aware of this incident and go on record.
Thank you. Any comments?
No, Conrad had contacted me, and he had already contacted the sheriff, but I guess just for a matter of transparency, we did talk to the sheriff. The sheriff has called you, and I think they did set up an operation, and it didn't catch anybody because someone's got to be doing the crime. And I understand from our conversations what a frustrating situation it is. But I mean, I think we're really trying, or at least the sheriff's department's really trying to get a handle on this. It's just, I mean, your thoughts on?
I just wanted to bring it to more people's attention because, like I said, the neighborhood doesn't seem to think anybody else is really that concerned. This thing, in all honesty, when you've been in a neighborhood twice and then you see something sitting out there in plain view a third time, you're not going to come back. The other concern is we're taking our action, security and things like that, which just means if these people get smart enough to know we're not going to let it happen again, they're just going to move to another neighborhood. And it is the kind of thing that, you read about problems at downtown Hagerstown that I sympathize with, but, I can't really speak to the residents. I'm not a city resident, but now it's in the county. And when it's on this kind of scale, the word's going to get out. I mean, you can't keep something like this secret, and especially if people look at it and say, well, did you ever get a resolution? I said, no, we haven't been able to figure it out. So that's the only reason I wanted to make.
No, and you're in a rural neighborhood. It's basically terrorizing your neighborhood. I get it, for sure.
I mean, if I could just take an extra minute, my home wasn't affected, but I'm 77 years old. I'm on a blood thinner. I've got a shoulder that needs to be replaced. My knees work, but I can't run. If you saw that video of the Pelosi attempt, okay, if you hit me with a hammer, you're going to kill me. If you sucker punch me, you're going to kill me. Now, I'm not scared, but if you come into my house, and some people might say, well, an attached garage is not the house. Well, if you're in my garage, you're in my home. And I think the term is home invasion. I can't afford the benefit of the doubt. And if we don't get some type of resolution, sooner or later, there's going to be an escalation of this. It just has to happen. So.
Understood.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you for your
Conrad.
time.
Anyone else under citizens' participation? Okay, hearing none. Youth Meritors Award. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Kiefer to make this presentation on behalf of Hancock.
Good morning. The
Nicole Phillips, Office of Grant Management. Throughout the school year, the Board of County Commissioners presents the Youth Meritorious Award to students attending both public schools and private schools or those being homeschooled within Washington County. The following individual has been selected based on her scholastic achievement, leadership qualities, community service performed, or other positive contributions to her school and community. This exceptional youth has consistently worked and distinguished herself as a model student and member of our county. It is my pleasure to present the following youth for recognition today. Brianna Buskirk from Hancock, and she is here with her mom and dad as well. So I will turn it over to you, Commissioner.
Brianna, would you like to step up to the flags with me? I have a proclamation that I'll read to you. We'll get some pictures. We'll invite your mom and dad down and any of your friends to ride along. And Brianna was recognized by Ms. Coto, Debbie Coto, who wrote, Brianna is a student in the biomedical science program at Louisiana Technical High School. She is the president of the Rotary Interact Club at Hancock Middle Senior High School. She is a fine athlete and has played volleyball all of her school years. She coached younger girls in the Washington County Recreation Program at UCC. She has letters in both volleyball and softball. While doing all of these activities, she has maintained a 4.2 GPA. That's impressive. Wow. And fulfilling her desire to give back to her community, Brianna is currently enrolled in the University of Maryland EMT construction program. She volunteers as many hours as possible at Hancock Rescue Squad, and I was there yesterday evening, and so were you. Brianna is also familiar in cheery face at the Interfaith Service Coalition, where she helps with her food bank program, serving the disadvantaged in her community. In close, I can only say that Brianna is one of the most grounded, well-rounded, and motivated young people that I have had the opportunity to know. She is brave, she is kind, and she is a leader. I can't wait to see what the future holds for her. So, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And we'll ask them to come down for a picture.
My godmother, my mom, my dad, and my sister Leah.
Absolutely, and you come from a family of service.
Can I possibly also get a picture with Commissioner
All of the
Klein?
commissioners, yeah.
Can Brianna share some good news of last week? Your latest achievement?
Oh, so I passed National Registry EMT, so now I just have to pass my Maryland practical.
Wow.
Went to the top first.
I'm one step closer.
How old are you, Mary?
I'm 18.
18, that's great.
Did you want a picture of Mr. Klein?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, there's one thing we forgot to mention. This young lady won the youth championship for the steamer contest at the Ag Expo one year, another accomplishment.
Commissioner Klein, I was not going to tell her, but I'll go ahead and share the news. We have a picture of you winning that contest as a little girl. So we're going to take, if we could, get one and do a side-by-side of you then and now. You're on to bigger things, so.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. And we'll just get one with all the commissioners up front then, please.
Do you guys want to?
Yeah, they bring everybody up. Just bring everybody up.
100 years from now, this will be.
Appreciate you.
You're in the middle.
We're gonna take a couple here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Everybody come.
Should we say steamer?
You can say steamer. Oh, this is great.
have for Brianna a $100 gift card to Staples, so you can use for school supplies or for the computer, whatever you'd like to do. And we don't have one right, so I'm gonna give you my county look up there. It won't get you into any door in the county.
You get all the pictures that you want. Take as many pictures as you want, whoever, good? All right.
Okay, next item on the agenda is intergovernmental cooperative purchase, 23-0106, 2 John Deere 5105M utility tractors.
Good morning, Brandy Nagelbauer in the Purchasing Department.
Zane Rao, Deputy Director of Highways.
The first recommendation I have for you this morning is the intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 23-0106 for 2 new John Deere 5105M utility tractors. Move to authorize by resolution for the Highway Department to purchase 2 new John Deere 5105M utility tractors from Glad Hill Tractor Mart out of Frederick, Maryland, for a total cost of $152,746.64, and to utilize another jurisdiction's contract awarded by Sourcewell to John Deere out of Cary, North Carolina. The Highway Department is requesting to purchase 2 new John Deere tractors to replace 2 existing 2006 John Deere mowers. Both do exceed the county's equipment and usage guidelines. The county's replacement guidelines for the tractors is recommended to be replaced in a 10-year economic life cycle. The used tractors will be advertised on the GovDeals website for auctioning. The Code of Public Local Law of Washington County provides that the Board of County Commissioners may procure goods and services through a contract entered into by another government entity as long as we follow the same terms and conditions. By utilizing this contract, the county will benefit with a direct cost savings in this purchase due to the economies of scale the contract has leveraged. Funding is available in the capital improvement plan for this purchase.
Questions? Motion?
To approve.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Motion is second on the floor for approval. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, gentlemen. 5-0. Next item is the intergovernmental cooperative purchase of 23-0107, upfitting of 2 John Deere utility tractors with mid-mount boom mower and rear flail mower.
Yeah, Brandon
Brandy.
Nagelbauer in the Purchasing Department.
Zane Rao, Deputy Director of Highways.
The next recommendation I have for you is for the intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 23-0107, for the upfitting of the 2 new John Deere 5105 utility tractors with the mid-mount boom mower and rear flail mower. Move to authorize by resolution for the Highway Department to purchase the equipment and installation for the 2 mid-mount boom mowers and the 2 rear flail mowers for the upfitting of the new tractors. The total cost of this purchase will be $190,105.28. Also to use the existing contract awarded by Sourcewell, awarded to Tiger Corporation out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Highway Department is requesting the purchase of the equipment and installation for the upfitting of the new tractors that are going to replace the existing 2006 tractors, again, both of which exceed the usage guidelines set forth by the county. They will be advertised, the attachments will be advertised on the the GovDeals website for auctioning. The mowers will be used on an ongoing maintenance roadside vegetation project. The addition of the booms will allow for the clearing of higher vegetation reaching behind the guardrails and down on banks that cannot be currently reached with the flails that they have, thus providing for safer roads for the traveling public. Again, the Code of Public Local Law does provide that the Board of County Commissioners may purchase on this contract as long as we abide by the same terms and conditions presented. Funding is available in the CIP budget for this purchase.
Hey, Zane, just a
Yes.
curious question for me. I always hear about how great these cat excavators, I think that's what they are, you have.
Correct.
They a lot more expensive, I guess, than a normal.
They are, but you're not going to be able to mow regular road maintenance in the spring and summer and fall.
Right.
But what this will allow us to do is utilize that tractor with the side boom year-round versus after mowing season.
season they just set.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more versatile application than the track hose, but they are doing a good job.
All right, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. 5-0. Next item is intergovernmental cooperative purchase 23-0108, upfitting 4 existing John Deere 5100M tractors with mid-mount boom mowers. Brandy?
Again, Brandy Nagelmeyer in the Purchasing Department.
Zane Rao, Deputy Director of Highways.
The last recommendation I have for you this morning is the intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 23-0108, the upfitting of 4 existing John Deere 5100M tractors with mid-mount boom mowers. Move to authorize by resolution for the Highway Department to purchase 4 mid-mount boom mowers for the upfitting of 4 existing 5100M tractors for a total cost of $324,486.64, and to utilize another jurisdiction's contract awarded by Sourcewell to Tiger Corporation out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Highway Department is requesting the purchase of the equipment and installation for the upfitting for the 4 existing John Deere 5100M tractors to replace 4 side flail mowers. The replacement of the replacements the old parts on the mowers will be advertised on the GovDeals website for auctioning. As mentioned before, the mowers will be used for the ongoing maintenance project for roadside vegetation. Again, the Code of Public Local Laws of Washington County does allow for the Board of County Commissioners to utilize another contract awarded by another jurisdiction as long as we stick to the same terms and conditions. And there is a direct cost savings by using this contract because of the economies of scale it has leveraged. Funding is available in the department's capital improvement project budget.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion and a second to approve as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is intergovernmental cooperative purchase 23-0109 Chevrolet Tahoes for the Sheriff's Office. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Rick Curry, Director of Purchasing.
Alan Matheny, Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Subject before you is intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 23-0109 for 2 Chevy Tahoes for the Sheriff's Office. Recommended motion is to, by resolution, for the Sheriff's Department to purchase 2 Tahoes, 2023 models, one in the amount of $43,743, one in the amount of $44,548, for a total cost of $89,291 from Hertridge Fleets Service Incorporated of Milford, Delaware, and to utilize another jurisdiction contract awarded by the state of Maryland. Contract number 001B2600367. The vehicles that are being replaced are warrant squad vehicles that exceeds the county's guidelines for replacement, as mentioned in the ARF. Replacement vehicles will be sold on GovDeals, and the Code of Public Law does allow for this board to participate in the procurement. And the cost savings would be, because we wouldn't have to prepare a bid document, do the evaluation, go through all that processing, and funds are available for this purchase, and we do have concurrence from the sheriff. Questions?
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor to approve as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
5-0. Next item is automatic external defibrillator purchase for Washington County Sheriff's Office. Tom Brown.
Good morning, Tom Brown, Director of Emergency Management. This morning, I'd like to recommend a motion move to utilize funds from the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund and CIP reserves, and authorize the purchase of 59 automatic external defibrillators, including 59 extra device pads for a total of $36,075.24 under state contract BPO 001B1600023 as an intergovernmental purchase. This purchase will allow for one automatic external defibrillator be placed in each Washington County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle. Law enforcement officers will now have this potentially life-saving device available when responding to emergency calls where a cardiac event is occurring, increasing the chance of a successful outcome for the patient. Recently in the news, the quick use of an automatic external defibrillator has been credited with saving the life of a professional athlete. Law enforcement officers who actively patrol neighborhoods and communities can at times arrive at the scene of an emergency call where a cardiac event is occurring before EMS personnel. Providing readily available access to this device allows law enforcement the ability to begin life-saving measures while EMS personnel arrive on scene, giving the patient a greater chance of survival. The county was recently awarded $100,000 from the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. These funds are an extension of American Rescue Plan Act appropriations. These funds may be used in the same manner as funds generated from general revenue sources. However, these funds may not be used for lobbying expenses. This purchase of AED equipment is qualifying LATCF expense, and the equipment is recommended to be funded from the LATCF funds of $100,000 and a remainder of $36,075.24 from CIP reserves.
Questions, comments?
Motion to approve utilizing the funds to purchase 59, as stated, the funds as you stated, as purchase 59 automatic external defibrillators.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before I call for a vote, I'd just like to ask a question. I'm certainly for this, but do we know what the life expectancy of these units may be in the trunk of a car with, the extreme temperature ranges and blah, blah, blah?
Approximately 10 years.
Okay.
So what the plan for that is through the State Homeland Security Grant, we will work on a purchase to do replacements.
Systematic
during
replacement?
intervals. Yes.
Okay. Just curious. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Our next item is Williamsport Library Planning Study. Andrew Eshelman. There's a number of folks here, so I'll go ahead and read down the list. Andrew Eshelman, Public Works. Jenny Backos, Executive Director, Washington County Free Library. Les Grimm, President of LS Grimm Consulting Engineers. Brett Fife, President, BFM Architects. Good morning.
Looks like everybody, but are you expecting anybody else?
We also have some folks from the Williamsport town, but they're not speaking this year. These are special.
Yeah, if there are questions and,
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if we needed to wait a minute for anybody.
we can rotate out. We wanted it to be interactive, so we did want to make sure we have people in the room to answer questions that you may have.
Okay.
You want to drag a couple chairs out?
Well, we could, if you want to rotate out, or we could bring some more chairs in if you need it. Are you okay with rotating out?
I'm okay rotating out.
Okay.
So good morning, Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works.
Jenny Bacus, Director of Washington County Free Library.
Les Grimm, President, LS Grimm Consulting Engineers.
So we're here to provide an overview of the Williamsport Library Planning Study. First, a little background since we have some new board members here, but last year, the library submitted a capital budget request for a new Williamsport library. The request was for a new library at a new location, which was larger than the other community-oriented libraries recently constructed in the municipalities. It included a large community room as well as relocating and expanding some other centralized library services. Funding for the planning study was provided, and that was to evaluate the request as well as look into different options and issues that there would be with any scenario, as well as answer some of the questions that we had regarding that request. So this morning, we have Jenny from the Washington County Library. She'll be providing an overview of the operations and reason for the request, as well as Les Grimm and Brent Fight, representing the engineering and architecture consultant team who prepared the study. and they can summarize their efforts. And then also in the audience, we have representatives from the town of Williamsport, Mayor Green and Town Manager Chad Rooney, as they were also involved in this process, and Scott Hobbs in the audience from engineering. So we had a pretty comprehensive team to try to take a look at this. Again, there's a lot of complexity to this, and so we wanted to provide an opportunity to share what we uncovered.
So, thank you again. Per our 2022 facilities assessment provided by Intech Engineering, Williamsport Library is considered in poor condition, with a total project cost through 2042 estimated at $1.2 million. A new facility would address three major needs within our community: a community space, a garage and office space for outreach services in the bookmobile, and the functionality of a 21st century library. Our community in Williamsport deserves a space that will be available to everyone, capable of hosting large-scale events, and be free for government partners to use as the need arises. Providing such a space is crucial to any library and falls in line with Washington County Free Library's strategic plan to provide space for a variety of needs. Moving our outreach services office to the new Williamsport facility will allow for space for the outreach services to grow and offer expanded services to Washington County community. The Fletcher Library downtown is limited in its garage offerings, and the most successful methods of service to community partners is through several vehicles that can be deployed in a variety of ways. Housing and navigating these vehicles in a downtown environment have proven challenging throughout the years, and the Williamsport community's superior proximity to major highways will allow us to grow our services even more. And just a side note, if you weren't aware, the bookmobile in Washington County was the first bookmobile in the entire country. So it's a service that we're very proud of and look forward to growing. The functionality of the central portion of the Williamsport Library should focus on accessibility and the ability to provide newer technology to the community. Currently, our Williamsport Library is not compliant with the ADA Act of 1990. It has no dedicated parking space and is difficult for some community members to physically navigate. The new facility will not only have a single floor design, but will provide ample space for the growing Williamsport community's material, which is our books and movies, and programming, which is story times and book clubs. Additionally, old wiring and infrastructure in the current building, along with lack of space, has made it difficult to accommodate newer technologies that the Williamsport Library deserves. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We were given the task to look at how do we accommodate the needs of the library for the community. We have an existing library building on the park site, and we have a potential new site out near 81. And the purpose of our study was to examine each of those and look at the pluses and minuses of each, to come up with a approximate rough order of magnitude cost to allow master planning to go forward. So you know what we're dealing with. The existing Williamsport Library building is in the park site. It has some unusual features in that it's geographically sort of tucked into the corner of the property. We have, so to build on that building, we have some problems with floodplain issues and property issues. To get the number of square footage that the library folks would like to have, it required us to do a two-story structure, and we have an outline for that graphic. The problem that we have for this particular site is not only are we tucked up in the corner where we can't really build anymore, there is a 100-year floodplain that goes across the front of the site. That limits where we can build out into. So we can get the square footage in this building by renovating it, but it causes us to build the parking lot in the floodplain. We have some unknown issues in the floodplain in that in order to build in the floodplain, we have to have stormwater management. We can't have stormwater management ponds to capture water if you're already in a floodplain. So this is an unknown item that could be a deal breaker for this site. The other issue is the ability to future grow this site. Currently, with this scheme that we have shown, if we build out this particular scheme, there is no future growth potential for the site. So that in 15, 20, 25 years, if the needs change and you need to add some feature to the building to serve the greater good, there's no room to grow unless we grow up. So that was the issue with the existing site. There are other issues We currently have some hazardous materials in the building that, if you look at our budget, we haven't been able to identify a cost for those. So there are two unknown items in our budget that you'll see further on. You want to go to the new property? So the new property is out near the 81 on 11, and it is a potential virgin site. There's no buildings there right now. My understanding, it may be a gifted piece of property to build this, which is helpful. So what we looked at was siting a new building on this site with all the amenities that the library folks would like us to have in the building. And we've created an arrangement where we have the on-site parking. It's a one-story building, so there's no, unlike the older building add-on where we have to have an elevator and deal with that. The new site is single story. There is enough property there that at some future date we can build on or add to the building as programs grow. We have established a preliminary cost estimate for both of the buildings, and they're pretty close to being the same cost, except that the existing library site has some unknowns. We don't know what it's going to cost to do the stormwater management in the park. We don't even know if we can do it. We have to do more study on that. And we have the hazardous materials in the existing building. So that's the background for it. Given all these facts, and what we've come up with is we've made an executive summary recommendation that the new site to build a new library, in our opinion, seems like the better option for the two. We also looked at, well, what do we do with the existing building? Can we have the existing building have some library functions in it, and then build a new library with other library functions, essentially have two libraries in the town? We looked at that, and we didn't think that was a viable option, not only from primarily from operational costs. You have to have staffing at both. What features are at what building? We still have to spend $1 million to fix the problems there with the existing building. So we didn't think that was an option to have two sites or two campuses in the same town. So that's where we are. You can review the outline that we have, and I'm here to answer any questions along with Brent.
Les, it sounds like that option one with current is almost, I don't even know how that happens. That sounds like you got so many challenges there, you know.
There is so many unknowns.
I mean, that's just, to me, I don't know if I'd even be using.
And I can't quantify it for you. I don't have a solution.
I get it.
So therefore, I can't tell you how much it's
But
going to cost.
you keep saying, I keep hearing the word on the site too, possible, just seems, don't someone have to secure the land before they?
That's correct. The new site, our task was not whether we own the property or not. It was if we have a site given to us for new property to build a library at this location, compare it to the existing site and determine which is the better choice.
Well, it sounds to me that this option two is if you can get the land.
If you can get the land, it's the better deal as far as I'm concerned. It has the least unknowns. We can build on both, maybe. But I think the new library site has so many more benefits to it, and there are no unknowns because it is a piece of urban property.
I will share, as far as the new site, we did take a step back and look at other potential locations in Williamsport. It was just a challenge to find something that kind of fit the bill that was better than what was already, I want to say, offered, because this actually came to us even before we got started in the planning study, and maybe Jenny can talk about that. But I will say the new location isn't without issue. We do have some traffic challenges with that site. Where the access is, you can't see it in that image, but where Milestone Terrace comes out to 11 is already a congested intersection. It has proximity to the I-81 interchange and the existing signal at Clifton. So due to that, it's not a guarantee that it would be able to be signalized. And so there's some other development that's also going on in that area. And so the road network, I look at this from a public works perspective, is we're not just looking at a library or looking at a community investment and how Williamsport might grow in the future. And so what other, challenges might we have from an infrastructure standpoint by relocating the library somewhere else? And so you need to think about accessibility for pedestrians, for transit, for the community at large. So sometimes if you look on different images, in particular, I think the last one in the packet gives a zoning overview. This property right now lies in the county. It's zoned residential. I'm talking about the proposed location. There's 2 parcels there. So that's some of the discussion and the dialogue that really, as staff, we can't decide, but I think some of the intent and the conversation would be about the future development, not just of a library site, but future growth for the town of Williamsport. And that's really where the 2 boards need to get together, because if I can try to explain the planning and zoning side of this, is the property is zoned residential right now. I believe it's residential urban and residential transitional. So that's what's allowed. The town could annex the property in, and there's a process by which, if the zoning is similar, they can do express annexation. If the zoning is substantially different, that could take 5 years for that process to happen. So in terms of, we're talking about a potential site that's in private development hands, and as far as what their interests are moving forward, that's another piece to factor in. And again, between the town of Williamsport and the county commissioners, there needs to be some agreement as far as how that all happens in the future. So that's a piece that as staff, we didn't get into too deep, but I think it's certainly a very big point to consider when you're talking about investment in a new library and a new location and what that means for the town. So again, the town's here. We have received a letter from them as far as their position on this, but again, if there are questions regarding that, maybe we can try to answer that as well.
What is their position, or do they support the location?
Do you want to come up and talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll step aside.
I know you weren't going to speak, but because you're here, I think it's important to hear from you.
How you guys doing today? We do support location number 2. The location where it's at now, like they were saying, are a lot of unknowns, but you're looking, our park is so heavily used, not just by our community, but by the surrounding communities. And just eating up the entire park is what location 1 would do. There would be no more Barron Park there. The building itself, the town owns, so we're already looking at future upgrades on the building, trying to put it on our CIP plan with our zoning on just bringing that up. The broiler's outdated and everything. It has issues. Option 2, we were approached by the owner of the property about annexing it in. And we did express our, yes, we would like to do that. It would be nice to, it would be a good location for it. I know there's been some conversations about how to get in and get out because we're at 11, our Potomac Street there at Milestone. Most of that is, all of us know Hopewell Road and getting in that way. There's also Oak Tree Lane going through Milestone Garden Apartments, which is about a 30-foot grass area that connects that to Cloverton. So it's not just Williamsport that uses that, also the Cloverton area, which is pretty much the same size as Williamsport. So it has access points that could be gotten to in and out. We have future development plans of a light sometime, hopefully, going into that area through development of the Waffle House property and where they've been and stuff. So knowing the overall picture, we had looked at this like it was a win for the entire library and the community.
Okay, Bill, I appreciate that. Appreciate you providing some of that clarity. You list a lot of problems with the current library, but most of those should be addressed in the renovation cost. You identified 2 that aren't addressed in the renovation cost, I think, right? Which is an unknown question about hazardous material and that cleanup. And then you don't know about any implications because of the floodplain in relationship to a parking lot, okay? And that's mostly runoff more than a real flood, right?
Sometimes when it rains, a nice rain, we get up to, in that particular area where the parking lot is, up to 1.5 feet of water, even during the winter time. so it does just flood out. I couldn't tell you if it's runoff or not. The drainage down there, 3 foot into the ground, you are in the water. I mean, the whole area is nothing but underground streams throughout that. We had
So
just
you have a
installed-
drainage issue in that area regardless.
There's a lot. I mean, we just installed a new piece of playground equipment, and 3 feet down, we weren't even 3 feet, and we hit water and everything. We had to do a lot. So it's,
What's the value of the land that is being considered?
at option 2,
Yes.
I do not know the value of that property at all off the top of my head.
I mean, I know you mentioned in the report that would be one of the things to do an appraisal on the property, because if it is donated, that could count towards the matching portion. Again, we're going off a lot of assumptions as far as what their plans are for the larger development, and if this is a donation separate from whatever may happen, or if it's something connected to, you know, a larger request. But again, if you look at the Williamsport area, if they are to grow, this is the area that Williamsport will grow, whether it's residential, business, commercial, that's where the opportunity is. So again, I just want to highlight that I'm looking at this as more of a growth plan, looking at where the road networks may be, and a lot of that's going to be driven by what the development is through there, and if there should be another road connection, which would help alleviate some of the traffic issues. So as just a library, it's a little bit hard to give a specific answer. If it's kind of taken a step back further as far as the development plan, then it's a little easier to connect the dots to say this is what the best plan would be as far as, you know, developing that area.
Yeah, it seems to me that there were, you know, would like to have a library? Sure. I mean, it'd be great. Williamsport, I've been in, you know, I lived there for 12, 15 years. That library's getting old, needs a lot. I guess what's confusing me, it seems like we're getting ahead of ourselves, is A, why would somebody gift you the land? B, what do they want in return? And where's the strings attached? I mean, we haven't heard any of that. That's what got my curiosity up.
Yeah.
When we were approached about the land, that was with William Hetzer passing.
Yeah, it was Hetzer land, yeah.
Right, went on through those chains, and it had come down to that front part. They would like to dedicate that, and the one catch was, instead of being called Williamsport Memorial, it would be William Hetzer.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
And, you know, which we were like, well, you know, we're gonna still keep our library and put it in our plan and fix it, well, the building, you know, because of the history of that building. It's very valuable to the town itself. So we couldn't find any strings. It was besides annexing that in.
Okay.
Well, my question would be, once upon a time, we were gifted land at the college on a ridge for a senior center, and it was all rock. And estimated excavation was like 1.5 million back then. So is this property that will be donated, will that be studied?
There was actually an engineering study done by Triad.
Because I
and
told Bill
it's-
Weigel he wouldn't have taken that for our school property. Why'd you do that for the senior center?
There is an engineering study already done by Triad for that property, and it all came back pretty clean.
Good.
Okay, so the total cost of the new site, you're saying is just over $16 million if the land is gifted, not counting any highway issues or sewer connecting issues, right?
Correct. It's does not really address roadway issues that may come out. And that's potentially something that, you know, Scott Hobbs in engineering works with, because you have to look at developer contributions and who's doing what share of something, so.
And does sorry, I forget your name. Jenny, Deputy Library, right, Jenny?
I'm the executive director.
Executive Director, okay, my apologies. I know we talked before, but I met a lot of people, so what are the options for funding?
Sure, I can get into that. So Washington County is eligible for a 70-30 split from the state. There's a state capital program just for libraries. It's a $7.5 million program that's funded each year. So the state considers land acquisition and planning, construction, and furnishing to be a part of that 70-30 split, what's eligible for that project. And the reimbursements from the state are made through paid invoices once the local match has been met. So
Jenny, if land is donated, I don't mean to interrupt you, does the value of the land count as the county's contribution?
It sure does. It does. So since we don't have the appraised land value for that, that would actually, I can't tell you how much of that 30% it would be, but it would count towards that 30%.
How much land is there?
Overall, the parcel that we're being offered by the Hetzers is about 4 acres.
Okay.
And this property, this proposed building would take up the majority of that.
Okay, I gotta ask this question, and I
course.
spoke to you about it. I'm being told the proposed property by the developer is gonna be a warehouse. Can you confirm, deny, or not sure of their plans? Because I've had at least 10 phone calls from Cloverton that they don't want a warehouse in their backyard. And before you answer, I'm not against the project. I know, I've been in that library since I was 6 years old. I know about the flood plan, and I know about the water and,
Well,
old
if we
flat
can go back
roofs.
to the first photo that's in your handouts on page 2 with the site locations. If you look at parcel 2, that's the parcel that we're looking at. And like Andrew touched on, that's mixed-use residential, and with the library being kind of at the base of that. Parcel 1, I'm not sure. Parcel 1 is the
Parcel 1 is also zoned, if you look in the last page of your packet, that shows the zoning for the area. Again, to back up a little bit, the parcel that the library would be 11.67 acres, and then the larger parcel to the north, parcel 1, is 65 acres. That is also zoned residential urban and residential transition.
Does it have an overlay for a warehouse?
No. So that's
They
where I
would
go
have to
back
get a
to,
special exception.
from the county's perspective, that's the zoning of what can be built. The annexation process by which the town would accept it, again, if the town says residential, then that process goes through. If the town would say, we want it to be business or industrial, that's when that 5-year moratorium period has to be resolved. But we can say that if the town doesn't want it to be warehouse and the county doesn't want it to be a warehouse, then the zoning doesn't support that.
Sorry to ask that, but I was.
No, it's quite all
I just wanted
right.
to make sure. But I understand everything you're saying about that building. I've been going there, could walk through the park at age 6. I remember it was called Lake Williamsport. A famous photograph by the Herald Mail had a guy in a rowboat pulling through the park. And the drains, we always had to make sure the town employees were clearing the drains out all the time. Then we put the caps in under the sewer lids and all that. So I understand
Right.
the need, so don't think my questions are anti.
No, and something else just to mention, since we were talking about the 100-year floodplain with the current library, I've spoken with my contacts at the state with the state capital program. They said that the likelihood of the state even touching this type of project with the renovation being that close to the 100-year floodplain is pretty low. So that's something to consider. I'm not sure that we wrote in here.
What's the cap on the money that the state will allocate? You said, how much do they have each year?
They have $7.5 million.
And this is a $16 million project, and
correct.
if it's a 70-30 split, and that's why your question's important, the value of the land, but, you know, it's gonna be about a $6 or $7 million
Right, and
cost to us, not counting highway,
Sure.
road costs.
Sure, and it's something, this would take place over the course of many years. The funding can only be provided once we have the projects going. So what I understand from my colleagues around the state is that they'll get put into, I guess, a pot for the projects as they move along. There's other libraries within the state that are being built right now that are of similar and higher cost, and they're just going slow.
The library was in our budget, but what year? We're trying to get it done sooner than later,
Yes,
correct?
I have to actually have it has to be in the CIP to be built. I have to have something in there by May of 2023 in order to start.
Our original date to have it was in our long-term budget.
So maybe I can answer this. So last year when it came in, because there were a lot of questions, the study was all that was funded. So other than the study, that's the end of the commitment. So I suppose that's the question moving forward as to what's the approach. She has a timeline. There still may be questions to answer. What's the plan? But currently, there is no construction or design money for the project.
Well, guess what I was leading to? We're seeing prices expand and burst higher. If we're going to do it sooner than later, will be better. So my suggestion is tie up all these loose details and let's get this going.
And just something to be mindful of, the application for the funding for us to get into the queue is for May of '23, and that's for funding in 2025. And so I know you're right, I just built a help myself.
That's okay.
It's a lot of, the costs are going through crazy.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Just curious, I see on the map that's up on the screen, the portion that is in red where the proposed new library would go. What was the purpose of highlighting in red the other parcel 1?
Just because it's by the same owner, and again, if you're talking about not just a library, but community growth and trying to solve some of the infrastructure challenges with roads, again, if you're doing a residential community, we could build a connector road. If you're building two dissimilar types of uses, that may not be an option. So we wanted to provide kind of the full picture of what this could be. The library could be a catalyst to something larger, or it could just be a library.
Warehouse, it could be residential as
Correct.
well, depending on what's.
But again, you're talking about a private developer and their timetables, so we don't have control over that, but we can certainly try to plan for it and accommodate what may come.
Yeah, my suggestion would be, that whatever it's zoned for, anything else, we'd have to change zoning, up zone or down zone for that under partial. If that's, I still got a problem with wondering why how long would it take to secure the partial that you want the library on? To know for sure they're going to gift that to you?
I'm not entirely sure. That would have to be a conversation once we hear from you
well,
all
I
that
guess
there is
the word-
interest.
Well, there'll be strings attached to the zone.
Well, it's hard for me to say, yeah, sure, when I don't know
I
what's.
know, it's a bit of a catch-22,
Yeah, I mean,
but
I'm all-
if there's interest, we can kind of go back
But
and start working.
I think at least on one level, we have the town and the county here, and you can decide or to a later date as far as what you want that to be from a land use perspective, because you do have some control with regard to the type of
I
development
mean, I
that
would be
happens.
interested if I knew that land was gifted and you're using it, and what the value, if it's being used as your part of the match. I mean, I can't make a decision without knowing if you got land or not. That's pretty hard
Right,
to
and
do.
we didn't want to go too far trying to make deals without bringing forth the information for where we're at right now.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll just say, so the whole purpose today, obviously, the study was done, so we weren't looking for any decisions from the
Right.
board today. We wanted to bring the study because we anticipate that during the budget discussion, during the CIP discussion, we're gonna get into more detailed discussions about what it should be, when funding would be needed, and whether it's this year or next year, or whatever the timing would be. So, I appreciate everybody that came today because we wanted to get that study before before we start getting into the CIP, which is in the next few weeks. So, so we're gonna have discussions. Land is one of them. You talk about what the options are, where it should be, what that facility should look like. The library has an idea about what that facility should look like, and we haven't talked about that this morning. But those are all issues. Is the land the right thing? Are we gonna get it? What's the facility gonna look like? What's their plan? What the county thinks about that? So, and, I think everybody's probably in agreement, and I won't speak for you, but, that it would be a good thing to have a new library in town of Williamsport. I think that would be good. The question is, all these details have to be worked out. So the whole purpose of today was to allow all of these individuals to bring the study to you, provide you with information, so when we get into the CIP, you have that information in front of you.
And again, one last piece, just for record, for those who aren't familiar with how the process works. Currently, the library is a town asset, and the county doesn't pay for the maintenance of that. So some of the arrangements that has normally happened when a new library is built in municipality, and I think the intent is that if a new facility is built, it would be owned by the county, and we would also obviously need to support the operational cost.
I know former President Greg Snook put a new air conditioning, a new roof, his last year, so we've done some maintenance. That was nice of them to do that
Yes.
for the town. I was a councilman when that occurred, so there is some care that we've done for that building.
I don't think I'd pursue option 1 at all. I mean, I think to me, that's just, that would.
My opinion is that's not the right place to put it.
So is there a way, I know we got lawyers here, like Kirk and John, to alleviate any concerns about discussions with the owners of the land? You can make the donation contingent upon a use? Isn't that correct? So you could get a commitment for the donation of the land, but contingent that it's used for a certain,
I don't know if that's to be,
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been, we've been
With-
discussing
Yeah,
the
we've
library, we haven't been involved,
Yeah.
we haven't had any discussions with
but
the
I-
property owner
before you
about
close, I
that.
do want to thank you for bringing this forward. I'm going to want to support you, just work out these angles. And the old building stuff, you're absolutely right. I walked through that park years ago with one of our guys. There's no handicap parking. You inhibit people from using that room in the basement. There's no elevators, no bathroom, so, an expansion into the park. So thank you for bringing that
It's
here.
something to be excited about. I mean, Williamsport is one of our busiest branches, and it's in the condition that it's in. So we're looking forward to this being a bigger function.
You could use one.
I mean, obviously, they could reach out to Hetzer and have
Absolutely.
further discussions about, are you planning to just give us the land with no
Right.
strings attached? I mean, we need to, it's hard to ask that question.
I think it's the next
If they're listening
step.
today, they probably know already, so.
It sounds like you have the
Strings attached,
consensus from the
Clover didn't
board
have
that
an
maybe a
opinion.
different location is just logistically better for a number of reasons. I wonder, I believe this board, maybe a couple years ago, allocated some money in the CIP or added a line in the CIP budget to assist with the current library. I know it's important to the community. It's a memorial named to the students who passed away in that bus accident. So it sounds like you have some long-term plans for the current location. I think your community would be happy to know more about that. And if the county can also help in some way to continue to save that building, I think we should do that too.
Yeah, we plan on keeping it in use, part of the museum and everything else. Not to let go of that. It's going into our CIP, so.
Yeah, I mean, I
To
think,
the future of it. It's getting close to 100 years old.
April 11, 1935, it was dedicated.
yeah, I mean, I think that's important. That's an important question to ask, and the town's already pursuing that. But if they do build a new library, I mean, that is owned by the town, and the town's gonna, have to deal with that, the maintenance and those kind of issues with that building, so.
We started the conversation about 6 years ago when Mary had said that they were looking at a new library and building it, and we started, what use can we make this building? It's something we're definitely holding on to and bringing back up, but to house the library in it, our library has outgrown this building years ago.
And I remember several years ago, kind of as the discussions right before the C&O Canal built their headquarters, there was also a thought that maybe on that land we could use too, and that's not going to happen.
It didn't go anywhere, no.
Okay.
They ran out of funding.
Stormwater management, all those things were an issue. Okay, that's all questions I have.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Ed, Bill. See you guys.
Okay. Motion to go into closed session for the reasons stated.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Let's take a